So, hi everyone.
Hi.
Today we have a new teacher with us. That's Amruta Mokal. And Amruta, how does it feel to do your first live session?
I'm very excited about it, and this is my favorite subject, Sicilian Khan. So I would like to share whatever knowledge and experience I have in this with our viewers.
So that's wonderful. Why the Sicilian Khan?
Because since I was introduced to the moves by international master Arun Vaidya, I really loved the opening and I just started playing, and I have been playing the same opening for all my chess career. So basically I will explain you more on the chess board, yes, but it is something which I feel is definitely not explored up to its potential, and I really like it.
Okay. Just a second, we have a few viewers who are already here, but maybe the show has not yet begun. We just have to check.
Thought so.
So guys, just let us know in the comment section
Can they hear
if
Can they hear us?
no, I don't think so. Yeah, of course. Now we are online, so we have a lot of people here, and okay, let's say Avtanshu Bhatt is here. He says, all the best, Amruta ma'am. What a nice way to connect
Thank you so much,
through Khan.
Avtanshu.
There's also Gaurish Baliga. Vinayak Suthar is here.
Okay.
Anya Teaches is here, and also Ashish Ghorpade, Aditya Talekar, Shivam Yadav, Omkar Chakradev. So a lot of people have joined in to learn the Khan.
Sure. It's more exciting now.
Yes.
Can we go to the chess board?
Yeah, sure. So Amruta, the first question that everyone has on the mind is how does the Khan begin? Can you show us the first few moves?
Yes, sure. So e4, c5,
Okay.
and f3, e6.
Mm-hmm.
So we start with e6. Yes, this is also one of the reasons I love Khan, because a lot of other Sicilians like Nadov and few others, they give the d5 square. So basically this pawn is generally on e5, and I am not very comfortable with my opponent's knight being on d5, which is why I really like to play e6.
Actually, they say that when you play e6, your one pawn is controlling the light square,
Correct.
and the c5 pawn controls the dark square. So in a way,
Yes.
you're balanced.
As of now, but it's only until the next move, because d4, c into d4, knight into d4 and the change in the position is obviously that we have exchanged the pawn. Very importantly, the c file is opened. Yes, and now black plays a6 here. So this is basically the Khan,
Okay.
Sicilian Khan.
So first of all, there's one question we have from Amit Dhondial, who says, is Sicilian Khan better than the Naidov?
No, it's nothing like it is better or worse. Every opening has its own advantage and disadvantage. Naidov is actually played a lot on top level. Sicilian Khan in comparison is not played as much on top level, but I would say between intermediate to quite advanced level it's giving very good results, and yes, for sure it has a lot of potential and flexibility, I would say. So even right now we are at the fourth move, a6. Black has not developed a single piece, whereas white's knight is already jumped to.
Ooh, that's a big
I'm
jump.
very sorry, your mouse is very different. So
Yeah.
the knight has already come to the center. The thing here is that b5, d5 and f5, these light squares are controlled by the pawn, which are critical. So if you see the white knight which is on d4, it actually cannot advance to any of these squares.
Okay.
That is one important thing. Secondly, the other fundamentals of the Sicilian Khan I want to share with you people. As we know, the C file is open, so we have to always keep in mind that C2 is a weak point which should always be focused on. It will be C4 if white decides to move the pawn to C4, then it will be C4. So on the C file, the pawn is going to be definitely one of the targets in many of the variations which we will look into. Another thing is that the black queen many times is developed on C7. That means, okay, I think we will come to it when we make that move. Yes. Again, on the open C file, what we should remember that knights are generally good on outposts. Now, outpost is mainly a square on an open file, according to Nimzowitsch. So that is why the C4 square, if you are able to get your knight on C4, it's very strong in general. So that is these are some ideas in Sicilian. Of course, this diagonal B8 to H2, A8 to H1, and A7 to G1.
Wow, those are some long arrows.
Yes, these three diagonals are quite important. You know, many of the action happens on these three diagonals. So overall, I think dark square Sicilian is played on dark squares, and when I first started playing Sicilian, I knew these 4 moves, and I knew the first game which was introduced to me. I will of course show it to you people, and with some more games I just went to under 12 nationals and played the tournament, started playing Paulson without knowing theory too much, but only by understanding, and I would say I did really well. In fact, in the 8th round, I was playing with the leader Tania Sachdev. She was 7 out of 7. She's my good friend right now. So it was a 25 to 27 move game, and I won that game, and was able to beat her. I was the only one to beat her. So unfortunately, I don't have the game in my computer because I had written it in the book somewhere. But yes, that is the whole thing about Khan, how I started playing it.
Well, before moving ahead to other questions which I have, I think we have a lot of people who wrote here. First of all, Shahid Ahmed, who is with us in ChessBase India, has said hi.
Oh, hello.
Also, Nongsha is here, who joined us. And there's one question which Sujata has been asking: is Sicilian Khan and Petrov, which is good between the two?
Okay, I don't think it is comparable.
No, come on.
Of course, I think
Sicilian Khan, because you are doing a
of course,
show on
exactly, that is what. So Sicilian Khan, I would say, because it's more flexible, it's solid, it's universal. Like there are a lot of attacking lines, also aggressive lines, there are a lot of positional lines, but basically one more advantage of Khan is that very few variations white can actually go for long castle and the war-like situation happens, whereas in all other Sicilians long castle and short castle is a very common situation.
Okay.
So definitely black has to accept attack pawn storm, the f4, g4, g5, but I think if you have the positional understanding, you will be able to defend. It teaches you how to defend, it teaches you how to attack. Quite a universal opening, I would say. It can develop a very good level of understanding if you are able to learn it. Very difficult to grasp it because it is less theory and more of understanding.
So I have to say, guys, I have been married to Amruta for 4 years, and before that 6 years in a relationship, and yeah, she has been extremely faithful, not just to me but also to the Khan. She has absolutely not played anything else, and I realized that whenever a Sicilian position is shown on the board, she has much more knowledge about it than even some of the titled players, because she's been playing it all her life. So I think she's an ideal person to show us more intricacies into the Khan. One more question that Omkar Chakradev has asked is Khan, when you play it, does it guarantee that you will have to play the hedgehog always, or does it lead to different sorts of positions?
That depends on white. Like obviously hedgehog is one of the main part of Khan. So but it's white to choose. Yeah. So if white chooses hedgehog, yes, then you have to face it.
Okay. And what do you think? Like today you have started off this lecture. Is it going to be a series of lectures, or what is it?
Yeah, I think that would be, at least I will give a few more lectures so that people are able to play.
So you're going to give a repertoire for black against 1e4.
If it goes well, if people are really benefiting from it, I can always increase, because I have so much of chess preparation in Khan and I'm not playing chess, so I would definitely like to share with you.
So guys, please give good comments so that she would continue this.
No, give truthful comments, that is important.
Okay, so there are a lot more questions, but I think we should move ahead. Yes. First of all, you said that white is not able to long castle in this line. Can you explain that a bit more?
So a6, many people who don't know this opening, or who didn't know, because earlier I think a lot of people were not very aware. Knight c3, queen c7. So exactly, the queen is on c7. It is very rare that in an opening you are first developing your queen instead of your minor pieces. It doesn't fall into the principles, general principles of chess. But the reason is that, as we know, the c file is open and we have to keep pressure on the c2 point, as well as what else is the point which is under pressure when the queen is on c7. Can anyone write it down in the comment section?
So Amruta is asking you that when the queen is on c7, c2 is under pressure, but there's one more point on the board which is which the queen is aiming at, which is very important. Can you tell us? I personally, if I was learning chess and if someone would show me a pawn on e6, a6 and queen on c7, I would be like, come on, I'm not going to play this opening.
No, but try to understand deeper and I'm sure you will.
Sure.
Okay, yeah, I think yes.
Yes, Gaurish Baliga has said h2.
Very correct.
Also Vinayak Suthar and Nongsha and Omkar have said e5 square.
No, the correct square is, it is putting pressure on the h2 point. It is very hard to believe, but I will show you some examples when it can be understood. And another thing is, it is not really putting pressure on the e5, but yes, definitely it is trying to control e5, because for white, the main idea is if white gets a successful e5, then he will get advantage on the king side, whereas if white gets a successful c5, pawn c5, then he gets advantage on the queen side. So this is a general understanding. That is why the queen on c7 does this multitasking, and I really like it. And for many people who didn't know earlier when I used to play, they're like, what is this queen doing here? And yes, this mystery I like.
Okay, so Amruta, you said that white cannot castle on the queen side.
Queen
so
c7.
I'm going to challenge you on that, and I'm going to play bishop e3.
Bishop e3, okay. Knight f6, and here,
yeah, queen d2.
queen d2, yes. So, and now the problem is the following, that I can develop, because I have played e6, unlike the other Sicilians where the pawn is on d6, I can go bishop b4.
Wow, so you're pinning my knight and you are threatening knight into e4.
Yeah, it's a very strong move. There is not much. You will go f3.
Okay, I have f3 or bishop d3, two moves.
Correct. And f3
and maybe we can ask the viewers to find the best move for black here.
Yes.
Okay, so here black has just defended the pawn on e4, white, and black to move and make one of the most thematic moves in the Sicilian, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we have Aditya Talekar who asks, we can maneuver black bishop from e7 d8 to c7. Yeah, he's talking about the hedgehog later on.
Okay, yeah, I think we'll come to that.
Yes. So guys, yeah, Avtanshu Bhatt has just mentioned the move here, and also Devesh Naik. They all say the move is d5. Also Prince Upadhyay, Gaurish Baliga, Aditya
Yeah,
Talekar,
absolutely
Sahil
correct.
Shah.
It's a
Do you think they are all like born Khan players? They know it already.
Yes, D5 is the most important idea. I think not just in Khan, but every Sicilian. Yeah, so D5 break. If you get a successful D5 break, then you get equality. So D5 is the right move here, and as we have already discussed, the queen on C7 controls E5, which is why white cannot play E5, and there is a pin already. So there is no time to long castle, and there is no time to defend. If you go bishop d3, then it just is bad because of e5, and the next move is d4, and white loses a piece
Yes.
for 2 points. But of course, if you play accurately, it's just simply better.
So you are saying that bishop e3 is in some ways a slight inaccuracy.
It's possible to play, but
If you played
for
knight
knight f6,
f6,
at least you should not play.
if I do a3, maybe that is a better way. Yeah.
A3 is possible, but then you don't really achieve much. Like A3 is a move very slow, I would say, for white.
I had
Big
read
white.
somewhere that if a Sicilian player sees the move a3, he's usually very happy.
Of course, yeah.
So maybe you go here b5 or something and get some good
Yes,
play. Yeah.
B5 is possible. Bishop B7, I get very quick development.
Right. Okay, so a6, knight c3, queen c7, and you cannot long castle. That's one thing in Khan that we have, I mean, not completely ruled out, but at least
In this manner, the
Yes.
quick long castle is not possible. Yes. And the other variations which are the other structures which are possible are bishop d3 first, and then knight f6. Over here, white cannot go e5 because it's a blunder.
mhm.
This is also
Why? Maybe we should ask people.
I'm sure they would know, or they would find. Let's see how long it takes. Who is the first one to give an answer?
Yeah, what do you do if white goes e5? So, Prince Upadhyay has also asked one very interesting question, which is, instead of queen c7 there, isn't bishop b4 possible? So we'll come to it
Okay.
in the fifth move. But here the question is e5, what do you do as black? Yeah, everyone is with the right. Aditya Talekar turned out to be the first one who says queen a5, but then we have Tejas, Nongsha, Sahil, Prince,
Yes.
NFC,
Queen a5 is a
Aket,
check, and then white just loses a pawn.
Omkar.
So
Yeah,
of course
everyone
my
got it.
opponent has made such a mistake also.
Yes.
So all kinds of mistakes have been made with white, depending. So bishop d3, knight
So
f6.
just that question, knight c3, can bishop b4 be a good move here? Of course it's not in the spirit of the Khan, but
Bishop b4, I think it's possible, but queen g4 would be the first move I would consider here.
mhm. So mainly
Queen g4, knight
if
f6,
g7 is
g7,
weak,
rook g
queen g4 comes.
can be possible.
Yeah.
Yes.
Also
Yes, for
bd2,
sure. BD2 is
why
just-
not?
Yeah, bd2 is just again, like, I think this is also variation after knight f6, bishop b4. There is a variation.
And now knight f6 is not so strong because e5 comes and there is no
Yes.
queen
now
on
knight
c7.
f6,
So you see,
e5.
queen is very important. Okay, so can we go
Bishop.
back? By the way, are you going to show a game?
Yes, I am going to show the game, the first game which I learned, which Arun Vaidya had taught me. So I will show the same game. Let's just 1 second. And I was just telling the other possibilities were to have the pawn on c4 for white. So instead of knight c3, The more commonly played variations are bishop d3, and then white goes for c4 and castle, and having the pawn on c4, e4. Yes, that hedgehog structure, definitely we'll look into it later. For now, let's see the game. Let's begin with the game.
Okay. Should I take one more question here? Very interesting one. I thought it's
Sure.
maybe the best question until now.
Sure.
So the question by Tanmay Das is, why do GMs prefer Taimanov over Khan? We see that Giri, MVL played much more often the move knight c6 here instead of a6.
Yes, I think this is a very good question because I have myself thought of this question so many times, or even tried to ask these top grandmasters, and I think firstly the computer evaluation many of the players would be aware of, the top players, which could give slide better for white in many variations, which for them slide better for white is not a very good evaluation. So that is the major problem, that they have all top level computers and they are so well prepared that it doesn't really work on the top level, even when Anand tried with Carlsen. That is the reason. But I feel that even if you go one level down, let's say 2600 or even 2650, not everyone is so deeply thinking about the computer evaluation as such, so it definitely works. And for me personally, I don't believe that just because it is slide better for white it should be avoided, because psychology is a very important factor. Let's say confidence. When I play Khan, I am so confident that the slide better for white doesn't matter if my opponent lacks confidence, or if my confidence is more than him. It doesn't affect so much. Like, I have played only one opening, still there have been so many higher rated players with preparation, they have not been able to beat me.
Okay.
So why is that? I should have lost each and every game if I am playing only the one thing. It just shows that your practical skills are also important, and I think on top level they think very differently.
Right. So definitely Khan is not an opening which is refuted or anything. Also, Anand played it against Carlsen in 2014 World Championship match, although people wondered why he did that. So if Anand plays it, there's definitely some logic
Yes.
behind it. So coming back to this game, we have one request from Sahil who says, ma'am, please ask us questions in between.
Sure.
It keeps us alert.
Sure.
Okay.
I definitely don't want you guys to sleep, so I will do that.
So we have also Bhupnath who is here, who is saying hi from, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Bihar, Patna. And we also have this our friend Ankesh Vashishta, who has done really well recently in a tournament. He gained some 60 odd rating points.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yes. So let's go to the game which made a deep impression on you.
Okay, as we know, the first four moves were same. A6, and then the game continued. Bishop d3, knight f6, and castle, which is the main continuation. After that, white can play c4 or
But
queen e4.
do you recommend this bishop d3 knight f6 move order? Yeah, not queen c7 first.
Bishop d3, knight f6. Yeah, I think knight f6 is interesting. No, I don't recommend that you have to go for knight f6. Queen c7 is also possible. That is the thing, it's so flexible, because so many times you can actually develop the knight on e7 also. It's a lot of possibilities to give surprise to opponents.
Sure.
Yes, with setups. It's about setups mainly. So bishop d3, knight f6.
And castle. I have one small tip for people to remember when to play knight f6. If the opponent can play e5 here and you can check and win the pawn, then knight f6 is okay.
Correct.
But if it is not possible, then you must play queen c7 first.
Correct. Like many times after knight c3, if you play knight f6, it's a blunder.
E5, yeah, e5 comes. So castle, and now e5 is a threat.
Right. So queen c7, we have to get the queen on c7, and c4 was played. So
Shahid says we should discuss queen f3, queen g3 line, which is played on top level, but I guess that's for...
I think we will not go too much into deep variations, because first we should know the fundamentals of the
But it will come
Sicilian
soon
Khan.
in the next...
Yes, but it will, once we cover the most majorly played stuff, we will definitely reach there.
Okay.
So c4.
c4, what's the idea of this move?
Yes, of course. So as we know, black's main idea, dream, is to play d5. d5 break. My sir used to say that in hedgehog or otherwise also in Sicilian, you must aim for d5 break. If that is absolutely not possible, then b5 break, and if that is not possible, then f5 break. But you have to break, yeah.
So d5 is the main, b5 comes
Is the
next, and f5. If so, main idea is to break those two pawns.
Yes. First, we will be in our own limited area, but
Cocoon,
then
yeah?
you have to but then you have to break. So
Okay.
that is the idea. So c4.
So can we ask what black should play on this move over here after
yes,
c4,
Correct.
so that people can tell us? Astronomy girl says, I'm Vinayaka. Hi Vinayaka, welcome. It's black to play here. We want to know what is the move that you would play.
Yes.
Not a very easy move actually to make. In fact, I would not have got it if I was not well versed with Khan. But I would like to see if anyone... Okay, Bhupnath has suggested the move knight c6. Also Sahil Shah, Gaurish Baliga, knight c6.
Yes, knight c6 is a good move here. Of course, a lot of other moves are possible for sure, like bishop e7 or d6, definitely. But here knight c6 is quite strong. It is directly threatening. It is attacking the d4 knight here. And white has to make a decision, yeah? Either he
Yes.
has to take or he has to go back. So, of course, bishop e3 is definitely possible. But then black can simply get knight e5 with what is the threat here?
I think just to take the bishop.
No,
No?
no.
Are you telling me that taking the pawn on...
Has anyone answered?
Well, a lot of people suggested, by the way, in this position, instead of playing the move knight c6, they were of the opinion to play bishop e7, bishop d6, bishop c5. I think
And
all of
every
them
possible.
make sense. Apart from bishop d6, I think that doesn't make sense because of f4.
Bishop d6 f4, then you can go bishop c.
Bishop c5, and then there's a lot of pressure here. So if I play bishop e3, you might want to go queen b6.
Yes.
And then maybe black is doing okay.
Bishop e2 and knight c6.
Well, why not take this pawn? Perhaps works. I'm not so sure.
Yeah, but with knight c6, you're not getting a piece.
Yeah, maybe knight c6 is much better. Yeah, for sure. So f4 may be a little bit too rash. Yeah, maybe you can just continue with h3 first. Just
Yeah, similarly, yes.
so bishop d6 might be a small trappy line to try.
As I said, yes, lot of moves are possible here. It is a choice, and that is why it's flexible, and I like it. So let's go with the game knight c6 today.
Yes.
So that we can
Bishop
get to
and
other
you had
games.
asked the question, what is the threat after bishop e3, knight e5?
Correct.
And we have a few answers. Devesh Naik said knight g4, Akash Datta, Ankesh Vashishta, Prince Upadhyay, Aket Chaurasya.
Yes, correct. I think the threat is knight g4, and as we discussed the point
h2.
h2 which is a very subtle point. Of course, and we are attacking the dark squared bishop also. If you get dark square bishop in Sicilian Khan, and I think most of the Sicilians, okay, there are still in other Sicilians like Naidov and all, they have variations where they give up the dark square bishop for development or something. But in Khan, if you get the dark square bishop, mostly it's just better. Yeah, positionally you have to win that. It's like that.
I have to tell you a story. When we were playing once in Greece, Amruta was playing against a lower rated player, and she was under terrible time pressure. She was black, she played the Khan, and after the game I said, did the thought of agreeing to a draw ever cross your mind, because you were like 1 minute left and he had an hour on the clock, and she told me, on the 12th move he had given up his dark squared bishop to me. After that, even if he was a grandmaster, I would not have made a draw. So that's what Sicilian players love, the dark squared bishop. This guy here on e3, if you get it, it means you have a control on the board.
Yes. So that is why bishop e3 knight e5 is very important for white to go h3. But then black can just simply play b6 with the idea of developing bishop b7. And then d6, bishop e7, and whenever f4, if suppose now f4 is played, then you can simply take knight into d3.
And
queen into d3, yeah, bishop b7. And e4 is already weak. When f4 is played and white is not having d3 bishop, it means there will be problems many times.
In general, if you lose any of the bishops, your control on the position reduces as white.
No,
okay.
d3 bishop is so many times white would be happy if black takes the d3 bishop. So that's not true. But for the dark square bishop, yes, it's 100% true. So anyway, this is just fine for black. Let's just check the main game. Queen c7, knight c6, and that is the move here. And white in the game played knight into c6.
So now the question that Amruta would like to ask you is,
which pawn you will take with?
Yeah, very important.
D pawn or this d pawn?
By the way, we have Akash Datta who says, I'm a die-hard lover of Sicilian. Akash, when you meet Amruta, you should discuss about the reasons why you guys love Sicilian, because they both love. And Omkar says, I think e5 players are more bold than Sicilians. They dedicate hours after all. I disagree with Omkar.
e5, no.
Bold in the sense of preparation maybe, but
in the sense of preparation or number of hours, or what?
I don't know. He said the amount of preparation they do, but okay. So we have some answers. Bhupnath says B into C6. Omkar, Devesh, Tejas, Prince, Akash. Everyone said B into C6. I have only one person until now. Two. Ankush Chakrabarti, Richi Rungta, and who have taken with the D pawn. So here is something where you could really help us with, because I think it will help. No one wants to take with the queen, by the way.
That's good. So shall we discuss?
Yes.
Okay. So B into C6 is the most natural move. Capture towards center, as we know the principle, and that is the reason. But in this case, in this particular case, that is not a very advisable move, only for the reason that white has already played c4, which means he has now much more control on the d5 point. That is why if you want to go d5, it's not going to be very easy. There is a lot of preparation involved, and you still have to develop, so you don't really have too much time to prepare for d5, which is why until that time white will develop and gain more control on the d5 point. That for that very reason, the good move here, which is against the principle, is d into c6.
It looks ugly.
So definitely it looks ugly, but there are a lot of ideas behind it. First of all, now the very big change is the C file is no more open, okay, and it's the D file now. As we observe on the D file, whenever this was taught to me by Arun Vaidya, whenever after every move you have to make quick observations. So after D into C6, the quick observation is that the D file is open, and then you can see over there the D4 square, which cannot be attacked by white's pawn. It's an open file. It's basically a very strong outpost if you can get any piece over there, whereas white does not have an white has D6, but currently it doesn't seem so possible to get his piece over there. So D into C6 is one thing. Secondly, our C8 bishop, which was very silent until now, is ready for E5 and developing the bishop at some point. That is another idea, quick development, gaining more space. For that reason, D into C6 means we can move either of the pawn, but majorly E pawn, because D5 is controlled. That is the reason.
So guys, I think this was a very important point for all of you to understand, because naturally we all take B into C6, but now you understand that taking with D pawn can have additional benefits. So that's already an improvement in understanding. When people ask how do you improve your understanding in chess, it's with moments like these, when you get the wrong answer but then you understand why it was wrong.
Yes.
Okay.
So D into C6, very natural for white would be to play.
I have one question, that if it was black's move here, he would play the move E5, correct?
Correct.
Controlling all dark squares. So therefore white should stop it somehow.
Okay.
And so F4 looks completely logical, yeah?
Now again I would like to ask, how should black continue here?
Okay, wonderful. So once again the question, the ball is in your court, all the budding Sicilian Khan players over here, you are playing this game. White has just played F4. He's trying to roll you over. How are you going to fight this? Yes, Chess Beast has asked F4. Omkar is asking why DC, because now there is no D5 break. Well, Omkar, you will see in the game what happens. Now you should tell us what's the good move for black over here. Akash Datta is the first one to say the move, but let's wait if other people can join in. Akib Jawad says Bishop C5. By the way, Akib says he has met us in World Youth. He's from Bangladesh. Well, okay. Akib, hi.
Hi, nice.
Nice that you are here.
Yes.
Avatanshu says Bishop C5, and Ankesh also says Bishop C5 followed by Knight G4. I think they have a small problem with Knight G4 move, that it loses a free piece. Queen is on D1, guys. You can't just play Knight G4. Charles Darwin says Bishop C5, it gets a piece out with tempo. A lot of people now have been saying Bishop C5, but Eugene Belosov has suggested E5. So okay, now Avatanshu Bhatt has changed his answer to E5. I guess some people are changing. So Amruta, what do you think? E5 or Bishop C5? Those seems like the best two moves.
Definitely, whenever you get a chance to develop with the tempo, so Bishop C5 has to be considered. It's a check, it's a natural candidate move, and it may not be too bad, but the right move here is E5.
Okay.
It's a very, very strong move. Yes.
Bishop C5 might not be bad, yeah, but
yes,
in the game E5 was played.
E5. Now, of course, white has a choice to continue F5 and close the diagonal and keep the position closed basically, or to take F into E5, but F into E5, I'm sure people
F
would
into
know.
E5, if I take with the queen, then my queen looks a little bit on a dicey square on E5.
Because of, I think, Rook F5 or Bishop F4.
No, Rook F5 would just...
Yeah, sorry.
But Knight C3...
No, Bishop... okay.
Or maybe
I
you
think
could
even bishop f4, queen into b2, I can just give a pawn and
you don't care, huh?
yeah, that is a possibility. If nothing, knight c3 is, as you say, the
Yeah.
very calm and simple move. With
Threatening
the idea of
bishop f4.
f4 now, which is possible. Bishop c5 check. Here I am not sure because maybe there is no time. Bishop c5 check is coming.
Yes, but now bishop
King
f4.
h1 and now knight g4.
Mm-hmm.
No, this is
No, bishop
it's
f4.
slow. Bishop f4, queen h5.
h3 we will go knight f2 check. So,
Knight f2, rook into f2.
but then queen d1, rook d1, bishop f2.
f2.
But I don't need to take now. h2 is defended, so I can just play maybe queen to e2 with I guess fine position for. It's okay. I mean for.
It's possible. It's okay, but then I would.
Oh,
say
I have a stronger move.
Yeah.
Bishop e2 maybe. But okay. So queen coming to e5 is not such a good idea. It might be okay here, but you have a stronger move.
yes,
Yeah?
yes, and I think everyone will find it. Do we have any answer?
By the way, everyone is of the opinion that f5 should have been played by white. That's what was played in the game. So we'll
Yes.
go to that. But here, black has a good move. So if you could just tell us what that move would be. Yes, Sahil Shah says knight g4. Good move, Sahil.
Knight g4. This is very, very thematic, and not just in Sicilian, but I would say in many positions where there is a pawn on e4 and f4 and black plays e5. After fe5, knight g4 is a move to be considered whenever possible.
Yes.
So knight g4 is a very strong move, because of which this becomes really slow, and now everything is coming very fast.
And then you
Checks.
take back on e5 with your knight, and you have this beautiful
Yeah,
knight on
correct,
e5.
Correct.
Okay, so
So now f5 is the most important move by white, the critical move, and now you can go check. Bishop
when you see a
c5.
check and it develops a piece, you should do it like in the last move, but he did it now. King h1.
Yes, king h1.
And now I think the moment of truth.
Now I think you should definitely take some time and think.
Yeah, we'll
how
take half
should
an
black-
hour. We are going down for dinner. We'll come back and join you. No, okay, we are joking. Most important now is black's move. Why, Amruta? Can you explain why this might be the most important moment?
Let them first think.
Okay. So this position, by the way, a lot of people found knight g4 move that was asked last time by, it was found by Rushikesh, Anya, Prince, Avatanshu, Saurabh. Everyone found this move knight g4 back then. But now, well, wound healer, it's not the moment of tooth but truth, you know, it's the most important point in the game. Omkar says g6. I think doesn't look so great.
No, because your knight.
Knight on f6 is hanging.
But
By
still
the
at
way,
d6
we
you
have
want to go knight g4 maybe.
we have a few people who have found this. Okay, Mr. Shah says castle.
Mr. Shah.
Sundarajan Govindan says castles. Ankesh Vasishtha said h5. Maybe he's doesn't like to develop his pieces. Aditya Talekar also said h5. I think, guys, come on, what's with these pawn moves? Devesh Naik h5, Zaur Takev h5, ChessBase h5. So
Okay, so too many. We have pressure of h5 now. Okay, so first of all, after king h1 and after f5, what is needed to be understood is that the center is closed after f5, right? We had to observe that this became a bad bishop. Whenever a center is fixed, you can assess the bishop, and this one is a bad one. Our bishop, the dark square bishop, should be also a bad bishop, but it is out of the pawn chain. And as we had discussed, the d4 square is very important. It's eyeing there, it can just very easily reach there, so it's a very active bishop. and and right now the king is safe because the center is closed, which is the reason we can try to find how to take advantage of the weak dark squares which are in white's camp. Let's say f2, e3, and one more weakness which we always will remember is h2 in some way or the other. And all these weak points, they show one common square from which they can be attacked, and that point is g4. Unfortunately, after f5 we couldn't reach it, and that is the reason the move h5 is a very, very strong move. We can just have our king very safe in the center for now. Knight g4 is the threat, and a7 to g1 diagonal, as we know, which is controlled. It means the observation that king on h1 is weak. It means that h3 move cannot be very effective here.
So before I continue,
Yes.
I think there is someone who wrote that Adiban is here.
Oh no! No.
Well, before we started off this lecture, I was talking with Adiban, and I guess he has kept his word of coming here to see this. So Adiban, if you are here, hi, and thanks for joining in. And yes, if you play the Khan in your next tournament, Amruta will take all the credit for that.
How did you tell him? Why did you tell him?
Well, okay, I think this is high quality lectures, or even 2680 GMs can gain. Okay, so all those guys who found h5, great job. I would salute you, because as a player, for me, castling seemed like the most natural. Someone said bishop d7 and long castle, even that looked natural. But you are a true Sicilian player if you found h5. And for all those who didn't find,
yes,
I think it's an important lesson here.
My only problem was I was so fascinated with this attack with h5 that even when white had a pawn on c2 and he was developing normally, I tried so many times to make this work. But of course it worked only with some players who really feared attack. Otherwise I failed. Then I was like, okay, now I understand it.
Sure. By the way, Omkar asks, what is the queen on c7 doing? You had given this big dreams of attack on h2. Now what is it doing?
Yeah, so it went there, it did its job, and now we will look what it has to do. We have to think about it, but not like it was a waste move. We keep maneuvering the pieces. At that moment, they should be at the best square.
Ankesh says that he met the beast. That's what Adiban is called 4 days ago in Udaipur, and he gave a very nice speech there. So yeah, sure. I mean, very inspiring. I'm sure it must be.
If at all anyone has the speech.
Yes. Well, maybe we'll ask Adiban to send it to us.
Sure.
So h5.
And now white played here queen e2.
If he plays h3, what are you going to do, Amruta? Just if you don't mind.
Yeah, just simple knight g4 anyway.
Doesn't matter, yeah?
Yeah.
The knight comes to g4 no matter what you do.
Yes.
Okay.
So very strong.
And,
so then
and just another question. If I just control these squares with my queen and rook, what are these pieces exactly? I mean, what is your next step? Line of action now?
Yeah, so actually let's see that queen, because he played queen e2 and the position could have arisen because knight g4 was played here. Here white played knight d2 in the game, and let everyone find how black continued. Because if I discuss with you after h3, maybe the similar ideas will occur.
So black to play now. Knight d2 was played by Georgiou over here, and what would you do? Adiban has come here. He says, I remember. What does he remember?
He remembers the game. Of course, it will be like a by heart to him or something.
Okay, Adiban, if you remember this game, please don't give the answer. And okay, Prince Upadhyay is shouting out Queen b6 here, and also Anya teaches says Queen b6. Prabin Gayan says Queen b6. I think your students here, we cannot say students, but the listeners here are very strong players. They're finding each and every move pretty well.
Yes, I agree. I agree with you. Queen b6 is the right move. Though you should also remember the idea of Queen d8, which many times puts pressure on this d3. So knight
there are people, Devesh Naik and Ankesh Vasishtha and Tejas Joshi, who have suggested Queen e7.
Queen e7, okay, but then Queen d8 is much better to think, because it also gives an idea of the d3 bishop is not sufficiently defended. Yeah, so knight f2 check, rook f2, bishop f2, queen f2, queen into d3 is one direct threat.
So if you guys stop Queen h4, I will still go knight f2, and this fact really helps that this guy here is hanging.
Queen into d3.
Yes.
But of course, there is some depth to it, like your e5 pawn is hanging.
So you mean to say that here knight into e5 was possible?
There are some complications which we will not try to go into it right now, because the main idea is to understand the fundamentals, and for calculations I think we have a lot of other things that should be done on its own. It's a self work,
right,
I would say. So Queen d8 is a possible idea, and Queen b6. Here Queen b6 is very strong at this point. Knight
so
f2
Queen b6, now knight f2 is a threat.
Yes, knight f2 cannot be stopped. White, instead of knight d2, could have played bishop g5. That should have been a little better. That should have been the improvement, but he played this. So after Queen b6, in the game g3 was played. Definitely knight f2 check, king g2, and here though the d3 bishop is bad, black decided to capture it. Knight into d3, queen into d3.
I think it follows this saying, it doesn't matter what comes out of the board, what matters is what remains on it. So black's remaining pieces are very good, so I think he just took it.
Yeah, so basically it is said that if you will move your pieces again and again, and then you will exchange it with a piece which has been moved only once, it's not the right thing. So the knight went to f6, g4, f2, and on the fourth move it captured, whereas the white bishop was moved only once.
Sure.
So this is again an exception, because the knight actually did what it had to, like it provoked white to play g3. It created a weakness in opponent's position. Its job was done, and now it exchanged the bishop. Yeah.
So by the way, Adiban is asking, can I tell Sagar sir? He's given me a lot of respect. So this question goes exclusively to Adiban now. What will black play here? By the way, there is Anya who says he's from his school. So I think two schoolmates, Adiban and Anya, have been here.
Really? Which school? Okay.
Class 10th, I'm not sure, maybe so
what is black going to play? This is your question you're asking.
Yeah, black to play here. Adiban, we want an answer from you. The nation wants to know, what are you going to play here? No one else is going to give an answer.
Only Adiban.
Yeah, everyone started now asking Adiban which is your favorite variation and all. So yes, for sure. But seriously, a big thanks to him for coming here. And yes, Sudhanshu says h4 here is a good move according to him. Okay, let's see if we have any more answers coming. No one's replying. Yeah, everyone's waiting for Adiban to speak. Devesh Naik says bd7. Well, possible in this position, and then long castle. Prince really wants to long castle after bishop d7. Well, it's possible for sure. By the way, it would be nice to say that right now there are nearly 100 people watching this, so it's a nice feeling that that this is being followed by so many people, and maybe even if 10% of them would play the Khan, that would be nice to know. Akash Datta says the nice move here is bishop d4. Yeah, and I guess Jainam Gala and everyone. Jainam Gala is given the reason why h4 is not so great because g4
Yes.
comes in,
Right.
and so
It did
Mr.
wrong.
Shah says bd4. Mr. Shah, please give your first name as well because you know I'm also Mr. Shah. Sweta says bishop e3. Well, Sweta, bishop e3 doesn't make too much sense because knight just moves to f3 and maybe not much happening. So, Amruta, just the last part of this game,
Yes,
how did
let's
it?
just continue. Bishop d4. Yes, that's the right move. Excellent.
First Citizen also says.
Excellent. Bishop d4. So now, as we know, we have the square. We had a bad bishop, but it's in the center, and definitely it's one of the best bishops right now. We have double bishop advantage here. Position is slightly closed. What we need to see is how this c8 bishop, how it can contribute to the game in the future. So that is one very important thing. As for now, definitely black would like to go for the idea which was suggested, bishop d7 and long castle. We have pressure on the b2 point as well over here. So it's not easy for it's not easy for white c1 bishop to get developed. Yeah, white's knight can always attack the d4 bishop, but we are ready for it. Yeah, if he captures, because we'll capture with a pawn, and what we will get is a passed pawn there.
So the question is, what happens to knight b3 here? That's what everyone is asking. Are you going to give up your bishop?
Knight b3 is a possible move, though in the game rook b1 was played.
But I think if knight b3, I would just play c5 and
Yes.
tell him that take this guy, and I'll take with the c pawn,
Yes.
and I'll get a protected passer. Although the position is of opposite colored bishops, I think.
But in opposite colored bishops, it is very, very important. It's a very important principle that the one who is in attacking position generally enjoys the advantage, because his bishop is contributing more than the opponent's bishop. That is the reason.
Yes.
But again, whenever the king is weak, that is always an exception.
I wouldn't
So,
say that
yeah, it's
black
very-
is totally
yes.
better, but
No.
I think bishop coming to c6, there's some pressure here, and there are ideas of h4, so it looks good for black.
Yeah, for sure.
By the way, there was one very interesting move suggested here in this position instead of bishop d4 by Omkar. I
Yes.
don't know if it's good or not, but at least it caught my fancy, and the move was rook h6 with
Okay.
the idea of putting your rook on d6 and then getting the d file.
Okay, very nice. But then he is not going to long castle. Yeah, is it?
No,
like
I
that?
think there is a concrete problem, because if you do knight b3 here, now rook is attacked and also the bishop. So if you go rook d6,
Queen f3,
queen f3, and now
h5.
h5 is hanging, and you have some problems here. So it's a very good thought that these rook lifts. By the way, we have Chess Beast who says thanks Amruta Tai and Sagar Dada. So he's definitely
Thank
a
you.
Marathi boy or a girl. I don't know.
Thanks, Adiban. Even
No, this is not Adiban.
Okay, who
Chess
is he?
Beast. I don't know who he is. That's his name.
Okay, then he is Marathi, but for sure.
Yes. So bishop d4, and in the game, rook b1.
was played, and c5. It's the similar conversion. Yeah, because white knight is definitely going to attack the bishop, and then black is going to continue bishop d7. So at this point, maybe I will show you one or two more moves what happened, but mainly a3 bishop d7, and then in the game b4 bishop a4, knight f3 long castle. This position came. You must definitely find this game in the database, and you must look into it very nicely, because one game and so many ideas were remembered as a base game, like how in king pawn endgame we generally try to keep the reti position in mind and then try to solve other positions. This game was something like that for hedgehog, and lot of ideas. Double bishop, knight into d4. You just allow you. It feels that white is attacking and black's king is weak right now. But if you look at the game, no, nothing much is happening here.
So the game that we are talking about is Wolf, WOLFF, against Georgiou, GHEORGHIU, Georgiou. It was played in 1987 in New York, and it made a deep impression on Amruta's mind when she was shown this game when she was a young girl. So she has started off your Khan journey with this game. And one more thing I would like to add is a quote by Garry Kasparov, who said, "You don't play the Sicilian if you are afraid of keeping your king in the center." So for all those people who think the king on e8 over here is weak, think again. It's not always weak. It's pretty safe. I think king on g2 is as exposed. So if you're going to play the Sicilian, be ready to keep your king in the center of the board.
Correct. Thank you, everyone.
No, but let's just do one thing here.
Okay,
let's
sure.
recap very quickly and show the key ideas before we take leave, so that all those who have just joined us would get to know, and also those who already were there from the beginning can get their knowledge solidified.
Sure.
Sure, I should do the honors?
Yes.
Okay. So let me be a good student. I'll do it, and if I go wrong, you tell me.
Okay.
So e4, c5, knight f3, e6, and after cd4, d4 is not the main move, but not the only move, but it's the main move, and you go to the open Sicilian. And after a6, which signifies the Khan, you are stopping knight b5. In many instances, you are controlling all the light squares with your pawns, and you're going to put your queen on c7.
Yes, so your dark square bishop is extremely important, and the pawn controls light squares.
Right. So a6, important move. And now we saw two moves today. One was knight c3, which is one very important move, and the other one was bishop d3. One thing that we learnt was that after knight c3, queen c7, bishop e3 is not particularly good, which is the normal way to play in Najdorf, Dragon, even in Taimanov. In all the openings, this is a very good way to play. But here in the Khan, it falls short because of this particular idea of bishop b4. And after f3, I hope you remember.
Of course, d5.
Yes, d5. And black is better after this move. So knight c3, of course, will be covered later in the subsequent videos.
Yeah, because mainly it converts into Scheveningen structure. So that is the reason bishop d3 and c4 are main Paulsen. They are the main answer to the Paulsen.
Yes. And queen c7, we will see this g3 here is a possible move. Bishop e2 is a possible move. Even if I'm not mistaken, f4 is possible. So there are a lot of moves to see that will happen later. Today we looked at bishop d3 and black goes knight f6. One rule is that e5 is not possible here because of queen a5, so you can develop your knight because you lose the e5 pawn after queen a5 check. And the moment castling is done, or even queen e2 threatening e5, then you must seriously start thinking about stopping e5 with the move d6. Correct?
Correct.
So
you cannot allow white's e5.
Yes. So castles, queen c7 and c4. This was the game between Wolf and Georgiou, which Amruta showed today.
Yeah.
Yes. Please go.
c4, and then the very important move knight c6 was played. And after knight into c6, again an exception to the general principle of capture towards center was d into c6.
Yes. This one, put it in your head, very important that you take with the d pawn, because we have been brought up saying capture towards the center, but here it really, you can see how the d file became important later.
Yes.
And one more important move after this is the move e5, really fixing the dark squares in the center. And after f5, check, king h1, and now the every move that will be coming in the Sicilian players' dreams. I think if you dream tonight of h5, Sicilian is for you.
Yes, h5.
Okay, h5, and I think this is the main thing that we saw, and so these were the ideas. So thank you everyone for joining. I would like to, there are a lot of people who are thanking us, and
Thank you so
Sahil
much.
Shah has asked when will be the next stream.
It will be soon. We will announce it maybe one day before.
Yes, we need two things. One is a stable place, because we are on a journey, on this nomadic journey, traveling everywhere, and a good internet connection, and we will be back with the second part. Thank you everyone for joining in, and let's enjoy Grenke today,
Sure.
round 4.
All right.